Drinking some Crystal Pepsi before this review. Isn't that cool? Yeah, they just started selling the clear stuff again at my store, so I figured I'd pick it up today, and yeah, this thing is pretty sweet. Alright, so let's get into the review. So we're going to be reviewing Predators. Now, Predators is a film that stars Adrien Brody as well as Topher Grace. This movie came out a few years ago, and it's probably one of my favorite films in the Predator franchise. With The Predator being released this week, I think it'd be pretty stupid of me not to review this movie, especially since I've reviewed most of the other Predator films in the franchise. The only one I haven't really reviewed yet is Predator 2, and I'll do that definitely in like a week or two. But this movie starts out where Adrien Brody's character named Royce is dropped out of a Predator ship. He's dropped out of a Predator ship, and he ascends towards planet Earth, or at least they think it's. Several other mercenary units as well as criminals hit the ground and end up fighting against each other within this little place in the jungle that they're all landing in. And this starts sort of the mystery of where they are. Are they on Earth? Are they on a different planet? Why are there certain things that are happening on this planet that don't seem to line up with where they are in terms of Earth? They assume that they're in some sort of a jungle. You later find out that this is not exactly the case, where there's geomagnetic properties that are happening on the water. One of the main characters, she puts a leaf on there and starts spinning around in circles, and you later figure out, well, maybe they're probably not on planet Earth as they once thought, which is another thing that kind of makes them think that maybe that they're being sent there in terms of a hunt, some sort of like blood sport with the Predators. And they eventually meet one of the Predators, and it takes them not long enough to find out that there's one being taken hostage on sort of a post, and Royce has the idea to maybe try and cut it down at one point in the film, but they don't end up doing that. They pretty much just leave that Predator there, and you find out that there's other Predators that are pretty much coming to the planet in order to hunt as well. These are a little bit more meaner, a little bit more stronger than the other Predators that they have fought in the past. They do mention Dutch from the first Predator movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger, at one point in this movie, so a couple of homages back to the original Predator in this film, and that's something that I find really fascinating, is when they manage to pay homages in the littlest ways. It's really cool hearing some of the original Predator theme songs from Alan Silvestri played out in the Predators, and I really like the design of the new Predators. They're a little bit more samurai-ish. They have a little bit more unique look to them. There's at least 3 of them, which hasn't been seen since the Alien vs. Predator franchise, and each of them has sort of a different helmet style. One of them kind of looks a little bit like a bird, and the other one kind of has sort of, more of a macho aesthetic to it. And there's some pretty cool action sequences. There's a Predator on Predator action sequence that happens towards the middle of this film. There's an action sequence where they use a drone that kind of circles around the Predator unit that is hunting these guys. They set traps and stuff for the humans, which is something that hasn't really been seen before. You later find out that there's also another mercenary unit that was here before them that was setting up traps for the Predators, because they eventually learn that they're not where they think they are, and it is revealed towards the middle of the movie that they are indeed not of planet Earth, but there's 2 different planets right next to them, and they're like, oh shit, like maybe we should find a different way off this planet. Another character that's in this movie is Danny Trejo. He plays this sort of Mexican drug lord type of guy, and he has like 2 P90s, I think they are. I'm not entirely sure, but they're like these 2 submachine guns that he wheels around for most of the movie, and one of the criminal guys kind of asks for the weapon back, and he's kind of like, yeah, give me a fucking gun. Like, I kind of want a gun, because all he has is a stupid little knife thing, and I thought that was pretty funny. And Danny Trejo just points the weapon at him, like threatening him pretty much, and most of the actors in this movie do a fine job with the roles that they were given. I think this is one of the few Predator films that actually had pretty decent dialogue in it. Some of it's a little bit corny, a little bit cheesy. They reference a couple lines from the previous movies, like I said before, but overall, this is a really decent Predator flick. When shit hits the fan towards the later half of the movie, the crew goes to a derelict vessel that kind of reminds me of the derelict ship from Alien and Aliens. The team all goes into, and they find the alien eggs. There's a ship that kind of looks like that, and you think it's maybe a Predator ship, but it's actually a different ship from a different alien species, which would have been cool for them to kind of explore that a little bit, because you don't really know if there's any other alien races on this planet as well that's hunting these people. You find out that the Predator has these like hellhound type of things where they're kind of like Predator dogs, which you see the Predator dogs in the newer movie as well, but those are a little bit different from the ones that you've seen in Predators. And they give the Predators a couple new gadgets and stuff like that, which is always cool to see, because like in each of the Predator films, you seem to get new gadgets and stuff within it. I don't know if the Predator actually has any new gadgets within it. I haven't seen the movie yet, but in Predators, on the Gauntlet, they activate a drone, and it kind of does surveillance of the area and stuff, and it's kind of like, the drones that you see in sort of the military now in civilian use as well. I thought that was pretty cool, because it made the Predators a little bit more tactical, and where they could kind of like shoot this thing off and like from a distance kind of spy in the area and see where the groups are. The one person I didn't really like was Topher Grace. I thought he was kind of one of those characters that really whined a lot, really didn't take charge of where he was in the situation, and you kind of, in the last act of the movie figure out, oh, he's the bad guy of this movie, that eventually he turns evil out of random. Like, it wasn't within his character throughout most of the movie, but you later find out that he's done some shady shit on the side. I didn't really like his character as much. I thought he was like the stereotypical nerd, and while I do like those characters in movies, sometimes I felt like his character a little bit out of place within the film, and I think that if they cut his character or did something entirely different with his character, this movie would have been entirely different and probably a little bit more better than it was. I like seeing some of the older Predator weapons back, like the plasma caster, the shuriken device that he uses in the other Predator films. I like seeing Predator devices in this film. Like, it's always cool to see those stuff back and then maybe add in a couple new things here and there, which make it a little bit different each time. The one thing I was disappointed that I didn't get to see was the Predator whip from Alien vs. Predator. I mean, that was one of the coolest things that they added to the Predators, and to not have that back just felt a little bit cheated, because that could have been another unique kill that they could have in order to, maybe whip somebody with it and like tear like their skin apart and stuff and rip their body in half and things like that. Like, they could have done so much cool stuff with that device, and I get it, they don't want to associate themselves with the previous Predator movies. They want to do something a little bit different, but for this type of movie, I think that they could have added that in, maybe done like a different modification to that to make it a little bit unique from the previous one. But overall, this is a really great Predator movie. I think the action in this is fantastic. I thought Adrian Brody, Danny Trejo, and Topher Grace, even though I didn't really like his character that much, did a fantastic job with what they're given. The dialogue of this is fantastic. This is an awesome action movie, and I think you can get this at like Target and Best Buy and stuff for like $10 right now on Blu-ray. So if you're looking for a really fun Predator movie, definitely get this one. There's another thing I didn't mention. There's this dude that's sort of like an ex-Yakuza guy. He goes toe-to-toe with the Predator, and he goes with like a katana, and he hacks and slashes the Predator and eventually loses. But I thought that was another pretty sweet moment. I probably forgot to mention that, but there's some really unique deaths. The Russian dude in this has sort of a machine gun similar to that of Jesse Ventura's character in the first Predator, and he gets taken out in a really cool way. I'm sure you can look up that scene online if you really want to see it that badly, but overall I'll give Predators probably about a B. It's not a perfect movie. There's about a few minutes of this movie that probably could have been chopped off, and this movie would have been fantastic. But other than that, this is a fantastic movie, and I think if you're a Predator fan like me and you enjoy the franchise a lot, this is definitely one that you should definitely go see. Either wait for it to come out like on a streaming service, or you can buy this on Blu-ray and enjoy it that way. So hope you guys like this review of Predators. I don't know if I talked enough about the things that I liked about this movie, but I definitely want to get my thoughts out on there simply because The Predator came out this week and I thought it was the right time to talk about it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this review, and as always guys, rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.